At 2:17 a.m., the control room at the Helios Deep Space Array received a transmission that should not have existed. It did not come from a ship. It did not come from a satellite. It came from inside a black hole. The signal lasted only 19 seconds. But in those 19 seconds, every screen in the room filled with impossible images. A corridor of dim metal walls, a flickering red light, a trail of floating droplets, hanging in the air as if gravity had stopped working. Then, for one frame, there was something else. A human shape at the far end of the corridor, standing still, watching the camera. The strange part was not the image itself. It was the date stamped on the corner of the feed. October 14th, 3 days in the future. By sunrise, the signal was gone. The files had partially erased themselves. And 3 days later, on October 14th, an experimental probe vanished at the exact point in space where the signal had claimed to begin. No wreckage was ever found. No final distress call was recorded. Only silence remained. And one question began to spread through the scientific community in secret. If nothing can escape a black hole, then what had just sent something back? The object was known as Vantanine, a rotating black hole located far beyond the edge of mapped civilian space. Too distant for manned travel, too dangerous for direct observation. For years, Vantanine had been only a rumor among deep space researchers, a dark wound in the fabric of space, a place where light bent too hard, time slowed too sharply, and instruments often failed without warning. Officially, no agency had plans to approach it. Unofficially, one did. The Astron Research Division had spent 8 years building a probe designed for one purpose: to go closer than anything ever had before. That probe was called Orpheus. It was small, heavily shielded, and loaded with sensors built to study the event horizon. Its mission was simple: approach the edge, collect readings, transmit until transmission became impossible, then die. That was the plan. But by the time Orpheus reached Vantanine, something had already changed. The black hole was behaving in a way no model could explain. Its radiation pulses were no longer random. They had become rhythmic, almost deliberate, as if something inside the darkness had begun to answer. Before the mission, life at Astron Base was quiet. The station drifted in deep orbit around a dead moon, far from public traffic lanes. Most days felt routine. Engineers checked telemetry. Researchers reviewed gravity maps. Night crews drank bitter coffee under cold white lights and listened to the hum of machines. The Orpheus mission was treated like a technical milestone. Important but controlled. Nobody expected history. Nobody expected fear. The lead systems analyst was Mara Venn, 34 years old. Careful, patient, exact. She was known for catching errors others missed. Her work was clean. Her reports were calm. She trusted numbers more than people. To Mara, black holes were not legends. They were equations, fields, mass, spin, distortion. Nothing mystical, nothing alive. Then the pre-arrival anomalies began. Small things at first. A sensor feed repeating the same 6 seconds of data. A temperature reading appearing before the sensor was active. A maintenance drone found powered on in a sealed storage room, facing a blank wall. None of it made sense. Still, the launch window held. Orpheus moved forward, and everyone at Astron told themselves the same thing. It was stress. It was distance. It was just the machinery of deep space acting strangely, as it always did. Then came October 11th, the morning the impossible signal arrived. When Orpheus entered final approach, all systems appeared normal. Its cameras showed a dark sphere surrounded by warped starlight. No fire, no explosion, just absence. The event horizon looked like a hole cut into the universe. Orpheus continued forward. Telemetry flowed back in clean lines. Mass curvature rising, time dilation increasing. External light collapsing into distortion. At 2:14 a.m., the probe crossed the last safe boundary. At 2:16, its signal began to fragment. At 2:17, the impossible transmission appeared. Not from the probe's forward camera, not from any known sensor package, but from an internal visual feed that did not exist in the design records. The footage showed that corridor again. Long, metallic, silent. The perspective drifted slowly, as if the camera itself were floating. There were no windows, no stars, no visible source of gravity. Only that corridor. The timestamp read October 14th, 2:17, 3 days after the transmission was received. Then the human figure appeared. Tall, thin, unmoving. Its face was hidden by darkness. The frame distorted. The signal cut. And at that exact moment, all contact with Orpheus ended. No breakup pattern followed. No debris cloud appeared. No radiation burst marked destruction. The probe simply vanished from every instrument at once, as if it had been removed from space entirely. Astron sealed the event under the highest internal classification. External observers were told the probe had failed during data compression. That explanation lasted 6 hours. Then the leaked fragments began to circulate among staff. Mara was assigned to reconstruct the lost files. She worked alone in an isolated lab. Frame by frame, packet by packet. Most of the signal was damaged beyond recovery, but some details remained. The corridor walls were not from Orpheus. The materials did not match the probe interior. The dimensions were wrong. The lighting system was wrong. There was also motion in the floating droplets. They were not drifting randomly. They were moving toward the standing figure, as if pulled by a force stronger than gravity. Then came the second discovery. Hidden behind the image feed was a narrow band of corrupted audio. Once cleaned, it did not sound like static. It sounded like layered breathing. Slow, uneven, human. More disturbing was the final telemetry record from Orpheus. Its onboard clock did not stop at the moment of disappearance. It continued running for another 11 hours. But no signal was sent during that time, which meant one impossible thing. Something had happened to the probe after it was already gone. The deeper Mara looked, the stranger the mission became. A review of engineering archives showed that the internal camera code from the mystery feed had never been written by the current team. It had appeared in the system 6 years earlier, embedded in the operating kernel. No author name, no creation log, only a silent line of code labeled return path. No one admitted adding it. No one could explain why it existed. Then another detail surfaced. The standing figure in the corridor was not random. Its height matched Mara exactly. Its posture matched her medical scan profile. Even the slight angle of the shoulders was the same. She denied it, at first. Then security reviewed her access logs. At 2:17 a.m., during the signal event, Mara had been in the control room with the rest of the team. But one camera in the east hallway recorded something impossible. For less than half a second, a blurred silhouette appeared near the sealed laboratory door. The shape was her size, her build. Its head turned toward the camera. Then the frame tore into digital noise. After that night, small changes spread through Astron Base. Clocks drifted out of sync. People reported dreams of narrow corridors and red lights. A technician was found staring at a black monitor for nearly 2 hours, unable to explain what he had seen. In one storage bay, droplets of water were discovered floating in perfect stillness near the ceiling. No leak was ever found. And then Mara made the final discovery. Deep in the recovered signal, beneath the visual frames, hidden in broken metadata, there was a location tag. Not a place in space, a place on the station. Section H, Sublevel 4, a maintenance corridor that had been sealed 19 years earlier after a reactor fire. No current maps included it. No one had entered it in over a decade. Mara went there anyway. The old corridor was real, long, metallic, silent. At the far end was a red emergency light, still flickering after 19 years. And on the floor, hanging in the still air of the sealed passage, were tiny droplets of water, floating, exactly as they had appeared in the signal. After Mara's report disappeared into classified channels, only theories remained. The first theory was scientific. Extreme gravity had not destroyed Orpheus. It had folded it. Vantanine may have connected distant points in space and time. A tunnel, a rupture, a place where inside and outside no longer meant anything. In that explanation, the probe did not enter death. It entered somewhere else. And somehow, that somewhere touched Astron Base before the mission had even ended. The second theory was psychological. The mission team had been exposed to unknown radiation and stress. The signal, the corridor, the floating water, all of it could have been a chain of shared delusions amplified by corrupted data. A perfect storm of fear and pattern recognition. But this theory had one weakness. Shared delusions do not write hidden code into machines 6 years in advance. The third theory was the darkest. That black holes are not empty. Not in the way humanity believes. That beyond the event horizon is not destruction, but containment. A place where matter, memory, and time collect. A place where things lost are still present. Watching, waiting, and sometimes reaching back. 3 days after entering the sealed corridor, Marla vanished. There was no struggle, no alarm, no final message. Security footage showed her walking alone towards sublevel 4 at 1:58 a.m. She carried no equipment. She never returned. When a search team entered the corridor, they found only one thing: a portable data slate lying on the floor beneath the red light. Its screen was cracked. Its battery was dead. But one final file remained in memory. A still image. Blurred. Dark. Taken somewhere deep inside the corridor. At the far end stood a human figure. Closer this time. Its face was almost visible. Almost. The image metadata carried no location stamp. No device ID. No time. Only one line of corrupted text. Observer returned. A week later, the rhythmic pulses from Vanta 9 stopped forever. The black hole went quiet. Astron Base was decommissioned within the year. Its records were buried. Its staff were transferred. Its sealed sublevels were filled with concrete and abandoned in orbit around the dead moon. But unofficial reports continued for years. Maintenance crews on nearby stations described dreams of a corridor under red light. Survey ships passing the Vanta 9 region reported brief instrument flashes showing impossible interior spaces. And once, decades later, a listening array captured a 19-second transmission from deep space. Weak. Damaged. Almost gone. It contained no image. Only audio, layered breathing, and one final sound at the end. A slow footstep. Approaching the microphone. So what do you think happened to Orpheus? Did the probe cross into a place beyond time? Did Mara see her own future waiting inside the dark? Or is the truth even worse? If something can survive inside a black hole, what else might be trapped there, trying to come back?